Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from today. We are really excited to be here with sharing information about Welcoming Week this year. We have a great lineup of speakers and some really great information to share with all of you. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. And please note that if you have any questions, use the Q&A function so that we can capture those questions. We are hoping to have some time at the end of the presentations for a short Q&A. So thank you again for being here, and we're going to get started. Go to the next slide, Anthony. My name is Daniel Valdez. I'm the Chief External Affairs Officer at Welcoming America, based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm super excited to be here. We have some great speakers with us here today. My colleague Lindsay, who is part of our communications team at Welcoming America, and our friends at Engage NWA, Margot, and Jaclyn with the Gladstone Regional Council in Australia. So we're excited to have them here with us this evening here in Charlotte, morning for folks who are joining us from Australia and other parts of the world. Let's go on to the next slide. So many of you are probably familiar with Welcoming Week, but for those of you who are not familiar with Welcoming Week is an annual celebration that we do. It's become a global campaign. It was launched in 2012, and hundreds, and now, of course, over the years, thousands of events have taken place in communities here in the United States and all over the world that are collectively demonstrating a narrative that is welcoming and inclusive. That despite what the media says about immigration, that most people in most places support newcomers in their local communities. And Welcoming Week has just grown tremendously every year. It's an opportunity for us to come together as a global movement, to shine a spotlight on our work, to build and expand partnerships, and of course, to bridge build. Can go on to the next slide, please. As I mentioned, Welcoming Week is an opportunity to really come together and create a global narrative and contribute to a global movement of welcoming. We know that that is a collective. We have a lot of power to reach a lot of people and to share the stories and the impact that newcomers and long-term residents are creating when they come together and work with one another. You can go on to the next slide. One effective way to advance this narrative and to participate in Welcoming Week has been to shine a light on individuals and local organizations in your community. As many of you know, connecting your local narrative of welcoming to a global perspective is a powerful tool, and to spotlight your local partners and how you work together to welcome newcomers is what welcoming is all about. So Welcoming Week really does provide an opportunity to be part of a global movement and a global campaign, but to localize it in a way that you're spotlighting, the local work and local leaders in your community. Let's go on to the next slide. Welcoming Week is also a great opportunity to establish new partnerships and relationships. We'll hear examples of this from our presenters today, as well as to expand your current partnerships. Over the years, we've had dozens of national and international partners join Welcoming Week as official partners. As partners, organizations commit to publicly demonstrating their support for welcoming newcomers, whether it's through social media, statements or resolutions, or hosting events. Next slide, please. Finally, Welcoming Week is an opportunity to build bridges between people of different backgrounds in your community. Many campaigns similar to Welcoming Week may focus on welcoming newcomers, but may not put that same focus on engaging longtime residents. And for us, what's really important is to engage as many folks from the community, including those that don't have an immigrant background or are not newcomers in the community. We know that building a culture of welcome is a long game, and it requires the participation of existing neighbors in your communities. What we have seen is that Welcoming Week presents the perfect opportunity to invite newcomers and longtime residents to come together to celebrate the community's shared values and spark new relationships that can enhance your long-term strategy for welcoming. All right, let's go on to the next slide. So I have the pleasure of introducing our theme for the year. I think you might have seen it if you've gone to our website. But this year, we are calling folks and individuals to celebrate our strengths and our differences and recognize that we are at our best when we're all in. So our theme for this year, and we can go on to the next slide, is we are all in. Through local events and special initiatives, we're hoping that all of you will share how your community is modeling this theme of we're all in. Whether we're all in for democracy, whether we're all in for voting rights, we're all in for the next generation, whether we're all in for sharing our cultures, for healthy communities, for a happy and healthy planet. We hope that you join us this year in celebrating Welcoming Week and being all in with us to make this the biggest and best Welcoming Week yet. So with that, I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Lindsay, who is going to talk about our website, our toolkit, and all of the resources and tools that will be at your disposal to help plan and promote your Welcoming Week events this year, sorry.
Thank you. Yes, as Daniel said, I'm going to cover some of the resources that we have available for planning and sharing your Welcoming Week events. So over the past decade, we have compiled a ton of good practices and resources that event hosts and our partners around the world have asked for to make their event planning a bit easier. So all of the tools that I'm going to cover are available to you for free, and we really encourage you to take what's useful to your organization, to your community, and customize it to fit your needs. So you can visit the toolkit at welcomingweek.org, and you're welcome to follow along there with what I share today. So to start, when you visit the website to access the resources, I wanted to call out that we have a translate button available in the top right-hand corner of the screen. And you can translate the site into English, French, German, and Spanish. You're able to select your preferred language and switch at any time. And it should be available to you on both a computer or on your phone. Next slide, please. As you navigate to the website, you can find our toolkit in the top menu, or if you want to access it directly, you can visit welcomingweek.org/toolkit. And at the top of that page, you'll find some general information about Welcoming Week, similar to what Daniel shared, information about the theme, and there's also some additional toolkits there for people who are hosting events in Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, which were created by our partners in those countries. In addition to that, to help you navigate conversations and outreach to your communities, we have core talking points and frequently asked questions near the top of the page that you can adapt for your messaging. As you take a look around the toolkit page, you'll come across these three sections, the first of which being the communications tools. In there, you can find the suggested communications timeline to begin promoting your event. It's set up for you to be able to customize the dates and activities that you want to plan for your Welcoming Week. And it's set up so that you can begin planning around this time of year, all the way through the milestones that you need to cover before, during, and after Welcoming Week takes place in September. Also, in this section of the toolkit, there are some social media tips that you can use to help you engage people online, whether or not they can make it to your event in person, or if you choose to do a social media campaign as your Welcoming Week activity. We encourage you to use the hashtag Welcoming Week 2024 so we can see all of the amazing activities that you have planned and to amplify your work to the largest audience. And you're welcome to tag Welcoming America in your posts as well. You can find us at Welcoming USA on Instagram and on X, as well as on Facebook at Welcoming America. One of the new additions to the toolkit this year are media engagement tips. So beyond just using your social media accounts that you or your organization has, you can use the suggestions in this part of the toolkit to help you connect with local journalists and newsrooms who can help you with your outreach. And as a starting point for media outreach, we have a press release template available for you to use, along with some email templates that you can customize for your organization's events. Next slide, please. For the next section of the toolkit, titled Logos and Visual Assets, you'll be able to find the Welcoming Week logo available in English, French, German, Italian, and Spanish. We welcome you to use that logo on any of your event materials that you want to create, including things like banners, flyers, social media graphics, swag that you create to hand out to people. We just ask that you please read our brand guidelines that are included there as well, so that everyone across the world can use the logo consistently and help to spread the message of Welcoming Week. Also, in this section, you can find some customizable and printable signs that say, "I'm a welcomer." We have these available in 13 different languages, along with a blank template that you can use to add the message in any language of your choosing. As you can see from the photos that are on this slide, these signs are really great props for events, so we encourage you to make use of them as a resource. And lastly, in this section, we have some social media templates that you can personalize for your community and your events. So these are free to use and available through a tool called Canva. I believe all you have to do is make a login. And we have templates available in the 5 languages that I mentioned before, but you can add your own text, photos, and logos for your organization to customize them to the communities that you want to reach. Slide, please. Last but not least, in the final section of the toolkit, we have a really robust event planning guide with 2 new tools that we've recently added. The first of the tools being a document that outlines 5 critical steps to begin planning your event, from listening to your community all the way to creating engagement after Welcoming Week is over. And within that tool, we have a checklist of all the event logistics that you can consider during all stages of planning your events. Steps is especially critical in the planning process, and that is identifying and engaging partners. This has been highly requested as a tool by former Welcoming Week event hosts, so we're really excited that we have a new segment of the toolkit that offers a lot of these strategies for how to find and connect with potential partners, both in your area and even around the globe. Another question that we get asked a lot are, what are some examples of events that we can learn from and be inspired by? So to answer that, we have 4 case studies within the toolkit here. They dive into some of the goals of the events, some of the logistics, and the results of some successful events that have built belonging in communities. We hope that you can use these to get inspired to plan your own event. Another tool that we made available this year is an impact tracker. And that is there to help you keep track of data around your goals, including things like event attendance, media coverage, and testimonials from your community members. I mean, that's there for you in order to be able to help you kind of monitor how your event performs and its successes, and also to be able to attract partners and sponsors for the future and determine what you need in order to sustain your Welcoming Week efforts going forward. And then finally, if you are a government staffer or work closely with local or state government, we really encourage you to consider issuing a Welcoming Week proclamation or resolution. So we have a template in the toolkit, and that is a way that you can help your local government formalize your community's commitment to welcoming values. I believe last year we had at least 30 or 42 communities who issued these resolutions, and lots of places will host ceremonies, events, or gatherings around the signing and declarations that come out during Welcoming Week. So with that, that sums up my overview of the 2024 Welcoming Week Toolkit. If you have any questions or concerns related to the toolkit, please feel free to reach out to the email that's on the screen. That's communications@welcomingamerica.org. We try to be as responsive as possible and appreciate your feedback. Slide, please. The last resource that I want to cover on the Welcoming Week website is the events page. So on this page, you can add your events to a map of Welcoming Week events that are happening around the world. As you navigate to this page at the top, you'll see that there are two buttons. One is to add a single event, and another is to add multiple events at once if you're planning a whole slate of activities. So with either option, you'll either be sent to a form or to a spreadsheet where you can include all of your event details from your event name, who's hosting it, contact information, and anything else that's needed to let people know how or when to attend. And once you follow those instructions to submit them, they will populate on the map and on the event listing beneath it. On the map itself, you can scroll, you can zoom in and out, and you can search for events using the search options that are available in the sidebar. Last year, we had over 670 events added to the site, and we were just really excited to see how Welcoming Week was reaching all different corners of the world. And so we really encourage you to make use of that to help amplify your event to your community and to those in neighboring communities and even people across the world from you. As you're using the site to access the toolkit and submit and explore events, please, again, feel free to reach out to us at communications@welcomingamerica.org if you run into any issues or questions. With that, I think you can go to the next slide, and I am really excited to be able to introduce our first speaker, Margot Lemaster. Margot is the Executive Director of Engage NWA, which stands for Northwest Arkansas. Engage NWA works to ensure the region remains one of the nation's best places to live and work through economic development, local government, education, and connected communities. For about a decade, and in last year especially, I've seen some of the amazing activities that Northwest Arkansas has done for Welcoming Week. So I'm really looking forward to hearing all of your best tips and highlights for celebrating Welcoming Week. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Margot.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Welcoming America. It's great to be here with all of you today. Really excited to share a little bit about some of the work that we've been doing in Northwest Arkansas, all inspired, by our wonderful community here and the work that's being done by Welcoming America across the globe. It's really exciting to hear the updates on the call today. So with that, I will dive in. I'm Margot Lemaster, and we have two different websites. So we have a Welcoming Week NWA.org website specific for our Welcoming Week work, and then our organizational website is engagenwa.org. So I think next slide, please. So, Lindsay spoke a little bit about what we do, but we are really focused on, we are housed within a larger organization called the Northwest Arkansas Council that's focused on economic development and quality of life here in the region. And the work of Engage NWA is really focused on bringing diverse people, organizations, and communities together, offering opportunities to connect and contribute to a more inclusive Northwest Arkansas. And I want to just take a moment to tell you a little bit more about our area to give you some context. We have a little bit over 500,000 people. We are a polycentric region, which means we don't have one one city that's the largest in our metro area, but we have multiple cities that make up our metro area that are all roughly the same size. We're one of the fastest growing regions in the country, and we've also seen a lot of growth in our racial and ethnic diversity and other diversity here in the region, especially over the last 30 years, but we continue to grow. Next slide, please. So I want to just kind of give you a sense for how we approach Welcoming Week here in Northwest Arkansas. And of course, I welcome any questions and of anything that I may have forgotten to leave out or didn't address. But, you know, similar to what Welcoming America is doing on the global level is what we are trying to do here in our regional level by inviting individuals and organizations to participate in the most simple or complex ways that they want to participate. So it could be something, you know, more simple like the I am a welcomer signs doing a social media campaign, or it could be more complex like you as an individual or an organization are organizing your own event or collaborating with other organizations in the region to create an event or an experience here. So these are really, everything that happens during Welcoming Week here is our community-driven collaborative efforts, and we invite organizations and individuals to partner and activate these experiences here. And then we are here to support them. We organize, Engage NWA organizes a number of key events throughout the week. And then we bring our partner organizations together through monthly planning meetings to support them in their participation on Welcoming Week. So like I said, we have the website, and our website, although it's not quite live and ready for this year yet, it should be up soon. But what our website does include is a calendar of events, of all the events happening. There's the opportunity for community members to submit their own events there. And then in reference to our planning meetings, we save the slide decks from those meetings, and we record each of those meetings and put those on our website. So if someone's not able to join or misses a meeting, they're going to be able to catch up to where we are. And then of course we have dozens of meetings on top of those with partners directly to support them in the work throughout that time period. And we also use that as an opportunity to highlight all of the amazing partners that we have, and then of course our sponsors as well. So those monthly planning meetings, which previously have been bi-weekly, but this year we're moving to monthly. Our first planning session is going to take place on May 15th. And really anyone is welcome there. So, you know, but if anyone, you are welcome to tune in. The link is on our welcomingweeknwa.org website. But that's where we, you know, will provide an overview of what Welcoming Week is and some of the plans that we have in place. But we really want this to be an opportunity for people to bring their ideas, ask questions, see what opportunities there might be for collaboration, or if you maybe hear of another organization that's doing something similar, or another organization that you just have always wanted to work with or just learn more about, or, you know, as a bridge building opportunity to connect with another organization that might serve other individuals in the community that you feel like that you're not reaching, or that you would like to start and develop relationships with. This is a great opportunity to do this. Well, one of the many reasons why I love Welcoming Week is that it creates a really tangible opportunity for organizations and individuals to connect with one another, for us to strengthen the social fabric across our community, and to try new things, step outside of your comfort zone, get to know new people, and deepen relationships. Start new relationships and then deepen other relationships, and that trust building across our region is crucial, and Welcoming Week provides such an incredible opportunity to do that. And then, you know, throughout the rest of the year, that you see the response and how that work impacts our ongoing work in the region. We also, through our sponsorships, we make sure to provide micro grants to our partner organizations who are spending a lot of time and resources in developing events throughout that time period. And then I did include a link here to our 2023 impact report that's also available on our website. But you can go to our website and it's in the bottom right-hand corner to see. And I'll share more here on the call today, but more information about what we did last year specifically. Next slide, please. So I wanted to just highlight a few of the standout experiences that we had in 2023. So, we started the week out with a community launch celebration, invited the community, invited our partners and sponsors to speak and share what does Welcoming Week mean to you, what does belonging mean to you, and heard some really powerful stories. We're a place where I'm gonna hopefully I don't get this number wrong, but where maybe 60% of the people who live here are not from here. So we have so many new people moving to the region. So those stories, both of longtime residents and those of newcomers, there's some incredible stories there. And so we've heard some of those in the past. And then also just a preview. What can you look forward to in Welcoming Week? If you've never been involved before, here's some ways that you can stand up and get involved, step in and get involved. Our local Office of Waste Management did a sustainability lunch and learn that was really exciting. They do a lot of work that a lot of people were not aware of. We did a postcard project in partnership with our K through 12 schools where new students wrote notes of welcome to, current students wrote notes of welcome to new students. We invited Washington Post reporter and author Casey Parks came and gave a talk about her recent book and her experience of growing up as LGBTQ+ in the South. We held an Arkansas Immigrant Defense convening, which brought together immigrant service providers for a full day convening. And then many people may not know that Northwest Arkansas is home to the largest population of folks from the Marshall Islands, outside of the Marshall Islands. So one of our partner organizations, Arkansas Coalition of Marshallese, held a cultural training during Welcoming Week, and that provided opportunity to share more about Marshallese culture with the larger community. So we had great attendance for that too, and we want to build on that this year and hopefully host other cultural trainings as well. Next slide, please. So I think this is the opportunity where we can share a video. This video was compiled from our Welcoming Week last year. We had some special guests on there that you might recognize, but I'll let the video speak for itself. Thank you.
Welcoming Week is a national initiative by Welcoming America that really encourages community organizations and leaders to support community belonging and a sense of welcoming. And that is what we have uplifted across Northwest Arkansas over the last 3 years.
Welcoming Week really shows the power of connections by bringing neighbors together of all backgrounds to show what's possible when we all work together and celebrate the power of our communities.
And Welcoming Week is just an opportunity to emphasize and to publicize that message that everyone is welcome.
And Welcoming Week is important because it drives people together. It allows them to understand the different perspectives that are happening in the community.
As a result of Welcoming Week, we're intentional about meeting people where they are, learning about their culture, their background, and how and what they can bring to Northwest Arkansas.
As an international transplant, I feel that I belong to a community that has made me feel welcome since day one.
As an immigrant to this country and to Northwest Arkansas in particular, the Welcoming Week is giving me that little window that I'm just not only heard but also seen.
I wish we had had events like this when I was growing up in the South, because I always felt like I was the only one of me.
To see a commonality of each other, respecting each other's belief.
Being a bridge builder is one of the most important things that you can do in a diverse democracy, and I think that it's a knowledge base and a skill set that all of us can improve at.
Diversity is one of the strong suits of this country. Today, I saw ways to make diversity become our strength.
We want to encourage the diversity to our community that will make it such a much better place to live.
There is so much unwelcome in the world, and I hope that we can embrace Welcoming Week as an opportunity to celebrate what is good.
We want to be safe. We want to be loved. We want to raise our families. Events like Welcoming Week help us focus on the fact that that's what we all share with people.
You walk into a room full of people and you immediately know that all these people are helping each other, and that immediately makes me feel safe.
To be able to come together and to just know that this is a safe place to be fully yourself.
Seeing the community really come together to embrace the week, which for me means embracing getting to know each other as individuals.
People are moving here every day. We want to make them feel like they're welcome here, whether they've lived here their whole lives or they've just moved here recently.
The most important thing for people with all identities is that they want to feel a sense of belonging.
I hope that more people leave the event with more knowledge about who the Marshalleys are and also understand the culture.
It's important that more people get involved in these types of activities just to show people that and Northwest Arkansas is a welcoming community.
My dream for Welcoming Week is that it extends across all of us. We think about community across every organization. How do we uplift diversity? How do we uplift every individual in this community to feel like they can truly belong and feel like Northwest Arkansas is truly their home?
Thank you. Something that I forgot to mention that's unique about our region is that we are home to Walmart's headquarters, Tyson Foods headquarters, and a number of other J.B. Hunt headquarters. So we have large companies that are anchored in this region, which has been a contributor to a lot of our population growth. But we also have a thriving startup community. And then, the work that we do to really connect our community organizations and really across sectors is what we're focused on here in the region and what we really hope to center as part of the work that we do around Welcoming Week too. So when we were invited to participate in this webinar, there was also the question of, well, how does Welcoming Week impact your ongoing work? So I wanted to speak to that because it's been pretty profound the last few years that we have really been leaning into Welcoming Week. We've just seen the growth in partners, events, just participation grow tremendously, and the excitement of folks to be engaged has just been thrilling, and it's been well received. And so we were thinking, okay, moving forward, and then the week gets so packed with stuff so that it becomes the entire month, and then the whole, we've got stuff happening the whole month. And somebody said to me once, this is like drinking from a fire hose. And so really, now that we're looking at, okay, how do we expand that to what does this look like to take the spirit of Welcoming Week through a year-round approach. And so that's something that we're doing this year in 2024 is we're focused on a year of belonging and bridging. And a lot of the folks that are deeply involved with us, closely involved with us in this, are the ones who have stepped into Welcoming Week in really deep ways. And so those folks have formed around a committee for belonging and bridging that we meet monthly. And through that committee, we're working to build a cohesive understanding of belonging and bridging through resources, tools, and learning opportunities. We're also going to be piloting a tool to measure belonging in our region. And we have agreed to collectively support belonging and bridging actions in our community. And then we will also be frameworking a 3-year strategy to build belonging in our region in 2025 and beyond. So it's really been something that has, I think, impacted our long-term strategy on just not during Welcoming Week in September, but on a day-to-day basis, something that we think about regularly and has deeply impacted our work. Next slide, please. This is just a photo of our beautiful committee at a recent meeting where we were hosted by the Museum of Native American History in Bentonville. wonderful group of individuals, really excited about that work. And then to see where this comes from in 2025 and beyond. Next slide, please. So we invite you to get in touch with us. My colleague Monica Kumar was not able to join us this evening, but she's incredible and she's a great resource. You can check out our website, welcomingweeknwa.org. And like I said, we have, recordings of past meetings there, and slide decks, archives from what were some of our impact numbers from past events, but also what were some of those events that happened. And then our website is engagenwa.org. And I think that I'll pause there. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you all this evening.
Thank you so much, Margot. Really appreciate all of the information you shared. It's inspiring to see the growth of Welcoming Week in Northwest Arkansas and the leadership that you've brought to the organization and to this campaign and just how much it's grown. So really, really appreciate it. We're going to move on to our second and last speaker of the night before we do some Q&A. So don't forget, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We'd love to answer any questions. We'll have just a few minutes after we're done here. I want to introduce Jaclyn Iwasaka. She's the Community Development Specialist at Gladstone Regional Council in Australia. Australia has been a place where we've worked with a lot. Our sister organization, Welcoming Australia, has been instrumental in bringing local communities into the welcoming work. And we were so excited for them to partner with us officially a few years ago to be part of Welcoming Week. And we've just seen a tremendous growth in the work there and the activities and the events. So it's my honor to introduce Jaclyn and to share a little bit more about some of the work that is happening in Australia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this evening and for inviting me to share a little bit about what we do in Gladstone to celebrate Welcoming Week. So I'll just like to start off by, if we can go to the next slide, please. So in Australia, it's customary to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land. So the Gladstone region is quite a large region and it spreads across the lands of 4 different traditional custodians. So these are the Baili, the Gurang, the Gurang and the Tarabulung Bunda peoples. And we pay respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to any other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in our region. And this is actually a beautiful artwork by one of our local Indigenous artists, Patricia Coleman, who is of the Baili people. Next slide, please. So a little bit about Gladstone. You probably haven't heard of Gladstone. It is a very small town on the east coast of Australia. If you've heard of Brisbane, we are a 1-hour flight or a 6-hour drive north of Brisbane. We have a population of approximately 65,000, so very, very tiny. But it is a very diverse population. So 20% of our residents were born overseas and 7% of our residents are Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. It is an industrial town, so we have primary industries, alumina, and we also have one of the largest ports in Australia. We're a large export town. This also means that we have a very transient population. So a lot of people are new to Gladstone. I myself have only lived here for 2 years. So we do constantly have new people coming into the town. And we really were searching for ways to make them feel welcome and make them feel like they belong for however long they choose to live in Gladstone. Hopefully that's long term, but even if it's short term, to make everyone feel like they belong here. We are blessed, though, even though we're an industrial town, we have a really fantastic natural environment. So we're part of the southern Great Barrier Reef area. So you can actually go and see the Great Barrier Reef from Gladstone. And we have lots of national parks and a beautiful coastal environment and bushlands and hinterlands as well. Next slide, please. So 2023 was actually the first year for Gladstone to celebrate Welcoming Week. So we're really proud that we were able to pull this event together, and we're really excited to be able to continue this work as well. So we created a series of social tiles to spread the word and spread the key messaging of Welcoming Week. And I've displayed some of these on the screen here. So we really wanted to, as it was our first event, to get those key messages out into the community, and then also invite people to come and join us to celebrate Welcoming Week. Next slide, please. So we actually partnered, excuse me, with 3 different organizations to pull this event together. So we partnered with the Neighborhood Centre and 2 local not-for-profit organisations that are connected to the multicultural community, so Integrate Queensland and Strong Communities. So they're really the local experts in multicultural inclusivity, and they have large networks, especially with those newcomers in that culturally and linguistically diverse community. And they actually volunteered their time to help us to create a welcoming video, which I'll show you now. We used this also to publicize the event, but we've used it also to spread some of those key messaging again. Next slide, please. So this is that video, and I'll play it now for you.
Hi, on behalf of my people, the Tulu Garang, welcome to the Gladstone community. I would also like to acknowledge the other traditional owners of the Gladstone region, the Baili, the Garang Garang, and the Tarrabalang Banda peoples. We are proud to celebrate Welcoming Week.
Gladstone! Bem-vindo a Gladstone!
Gladstone verwelkom julle.
ग्लैडस्टोन में आप सबका स्वागत है।
नमस्कार, ग्लैडस्टोन में आपका स्वागत है।
Chào mừng mọi người đến Gladstone.
Bienvenue à Gladstone.
Bienvenidos a Gladstone.
Hai semuanya, selamat datang di Gladstone. Terima kasih.
Mabuhay, Gladstone Western Australia. Ingat.
嗨，大家好，欢迎来到 Gladstone， 希望你们会喜欢这个地方。
From all of us in the Gladstone region,
have a great welcoming week.
Thank you for showing that. Go to the next slide. Thank you. So we chose the languages that we chose are actually some of our largest other than English-speaking populations in Gladstone. And we received really great feedback from the community when we started putting this video out there. So it was one of the successes of the Welcoming Week activities. So about the event itself, so we had our key co-design group of the 4 partners that I mentioned earlier. We began preparations almost 12 months in advance. So the co-design process does require a little bit of extra time to really come together and share those ideas and come to the consensus on what you want to do. And we decided to do a welcoming morning tea event and celebration. So We actually had something similar in Gladstone region. We used to run welcoming morning teas prior to COVID-19. And then during COVID-19, all of those activities ceased. So it was kind of bringing back this old idea, but making it new and kind of changing some of that key messaging to really align with what we wanted to foster that sense of well-being and connectedness in our community. We did realize too that this was a great opportunity to create an ongoing impact as well. So we wanted to link new residents to important information and services. So how we did that, we actually invited other organizations to come and be a part of the event, to have a stall at the event. So we had lots of different stall holders there. And then we also had information packs that we were giving out to everyone. So including a booklet with local services that were available. We had little seed packs that had native plant seeds with the messaging of put down your roots in Gladstone. So those information packs went out and to everyone who attended the event and the subsequent events as well. Next slide, please. So the Welcoming Week event that we held was a large success, even though it was the first one that we have done. We really market it as it's not only for new arrivals from the multicultural community, but it's for everyone. We had around 400 people attend, which is quite large for our small country town. And we held the event. The picture shows the precinct where we held the event. So I think the space that you choose is always really important. So we wanted to hold the event at a place where it is already have that kind of welcoming environment. So the precinct, it's called the Phillip Street Communities and Families Precinct, and it's a central community space with a collective change operating model. So it's not just owned by local government, it's owned by those collaborating partners, and lots of different community services are based at this one precinct and they collaborate together. And one of the key values of this precinct is that we're creating a welcome and safe space. So it was really the perfect location to hold this event. As you can see, we have, there's a big playground and outdoor space as well. So it was creating that scene and that vibe that we wanted to create. Next slide, please. So activities on the day, we had lots of different activities to try to bring in as many people as possible. We had the Welcome to Country by our elders. We had a Humans of Gladstone activity where we invited local residents who at some stage were new to Gladstone to talk about their transition to Gladstone, any barriers that they had to overcome, and to share their lives in Gladstone. We also had lots of children's activities. One of the pictures is the children doing clay arts and crafts, so lots of different games. The other picture we had is a salsa dancing workshop, so getting people active, and this is one of the local salsa dancing groups, so getting them connected to some of those activities that they might like to do in Gladstone. And another key element was we had a speed networking with local elected members from the local government. So we recognize that for a lot of people coming from different countries, there may be a mistrust of government, or they may have not had a connection to government in their own communities. So we really wanted to, if they wanted to connect with the local government here and share their concerns or share their stories with our local elected members. Next slide, please. And of course, we had free food. What's a good event without free food? So Integrate Queensland, one of our partner members, they have a social enterprise food truck. And from this food truck, they actually do training and mentoring for the culturally and linguistically diverse community members who might like to start their own food business in Gladstone. So it can be really challenging if you're starting your own business in a foreign country and you're new to that country, you don't know the rules and regulations. And particularly with food, there's a lot of rules and regulations that you have to follow. So Integrate Queensland has started this social enterprise to assist people along that journey. And then we invited them to come and to cater our event. So we had food from 5 different countries, which was really incredible. And again, received really high praise from the community that they loved the food and couldn't get enough of it. Next slide, please. So, and as I said, we invited lots of community groups to become stall holders, but also we invited different parts of our local government to become stall holders as well. So the council disaster management team. So it's important to, if you're new to a new area, if you're new to the area, to become familiar with what local disasters we may experience here. So connecting them to that team to register for the early warning systems that we have in place and things like that. We also invited groups like the Salvation Army, Strong Communities, the Queensland Police, again, trying to break down some of those stigmas that may exist around the police and to make our police here more approachable and to know that people can go to them if there is any issues that they're experiencing. We had the University of the Third Age, Not-for-Profit House, the library came and did a stall. We tried to get some of those key connecting services that we have. So we know the library is one of our large connecting services. People go to the library when they don't know where else to go, and the library will refer them to different places. And same with the Disability Support Network. If you have a disability, your first port of call is usually that support network, and then they will let you know what other services are provided. So next slide, please. And these are just some of the photos from the Welcoming Week event. We had a Instagram frame printed up, and it was really great. Lots of people got involved and had their picture taken with the Instagram frame. And then again, we were able to use these photos afterwards to keep spreading those messages of welcome across our community. Next slide, please. So what's next for Gladstone? This was our first event, but it was such a great success that the local government actually decided that they want to do this quarterly, not on such a large scale, but have small welcoming morning teas. So we had a second welcoming morning tea, which we planned together with the 25th anniversary of the library. And that was down in a small coastal town in the southern part of our region called Agnes Water. And we actually had over 1,000 people attend that event. So it really ballooned after that. So, but we had some really amazing feedback. So we had an elderly couple come up to one of our team members and they commented on what a beautiful, inclusive region Gladstone is, and that after just 6 weeks living here, that it already felt like home. So getting that type of feedback really made it worthwhile. And we're really excited to celebrate Welcoming Week again and to continue those quarterly morning teas as well. So I welcome any questions about our event, but thank you for listening and for having me here tonight.
Thank you so much, Jaclyn. We really appreciate that. Margot, thank you all for being here and sharing. It's just beautiful to see all this work all over, and we just want to continue. And you all are helping us continue to expand this. I don't know that I see any direct Q&As or any questions from folks. I know a few folks submitted some questions when they registered, so maybe we have a couple of minutes, and maybe we can get through a couple of those, Lindsay, and then we can give everyone their evening or their morning back.
Sure. I have one here that can get us started while we wait for any questions to come through the chat. Someone asked, do you have any suggestions on how to get city officials on board with supporting and attending Welcoming Week events?
Margot, Jaclyn, any tips for folks on getting elected officials to your events?
Well, I'll let Jaclyn take that if you want to. It sounded like you had some good participation there.
Yeah, so it really helped that the event was being run by the city, by our team. So we do have we had that buy-in from our elected members. And for us, it was a little bit harder to get them on board with the speed networking activity. So we really had to go there and explain the reasoning behind that. But once we had, they were more than happy to attend. And I think we had probably 4 or 5 of our elected members. But I think it's about bringing them along on the journey and sharing those goals and those aspirations with them as well.
Yeah, and I can just add really quick, I think from our perspective, it was inviting them to participate in whatever way, sharing that, we're hoping to be in the spirit of Welcoming Week and the theme of Welcoming Week, but what makes sense for you? How would you like to participate? And so a few of our cities, had their own events that they shared and got involved with that way.
Thank you. And if it's your first year, it might be a little difficult if you're not already connected with the municipal government. But what we've seen with a lot of other folks is once they do an event the first year, they take lots of pictures, they share it out on social media, they see people attending. And so the next year, they're more likely to attend. So that's the other thing. If you're starting, it's okay to start out small, but make sure that you capture those pictures, that you share it out, because that's going to just create more momentum, not only for elected officials, but for more people to attend. Lindsay, one more question, and then I think we can let everyone. Oh, I think we have one here. Do you have suggestions for a small organization looking to plan this event? How should we start? Jaclyn, Margot, small organization.
I can jump in as it was our first time planning this. I think it was really important for us to connect with those key partners. So it is really challenging to pull something off like this just by yourself. So if you can reach out to other organizations or your local government or some of those key cultural groups as well. A lot of the cultural groups will have their own associations or clubs or things like that as well. So getting those key partners on board, and that was really what made the event a success, because they would also advertise the event out to their networks, and then that's how we got that word of mouth, and more people came along as a result of that, I think.
I would second everything that Jaclyn shared, and also just to say to start small. Starting small and in a simple of ways as you want to or can. And what we've noticed is that then you just build each year.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can also do a social media campaign too. And remember that Welcoming Week happens over 2 weekends. So you don't have to do multiple events if you want to do just one event. And again, leaning on your local partners is going to be really important. And we have a lot of tools in the toolkit that will make it easier for you, so you don't have to think about a graphic design, or you don't have to think about a press release or anything like that. Like there's already a lot of tools already available for you. All you have to do is find the space and invite people. So I think taking it small, and that will start growing over time. We are at time, and so I just want to be respectful of our speakers' time and of your time as well. Thank you all for being here. We're super excited about Welcoming Week. We hope to see lots of events on our event page there. Please put your events on, encourage others to do so. Check out our toolkit. Check out all of the information that our presenters provided. And we're just excited to see all of the events that will be happening in September. And until then, please stay connected to Welcoming America and to all of our partners working to make our communities more inclusive and welcoming for everyone. So thank you again. Thank you so much. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day.